Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Wilmot Heritage and Castle Advisory Committee. And I would like to state this meeting is open to the public and will be held in person and electronically. Delegations had to register beforehand, which we do not have any delegations that I know of. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I'll ask Stuart, Matt, are you reading? Okay. I'll ask Matt to read the territorial acknowledgement.
We have gathered in Wilmot Township on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Mississauga peoples. We want to acknowledge the importance of the Dish with One Spoon Covenant, a peace agreement made between Indigenous nations before the Europeans arrived. It characterizes our collective responsibility to each other and Mother Earth. We should take only what we need, leave enough for others, and keep the dish clean. By acknowledging this convent and the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, we are reminded of our important connection to this land, where we live, learn, and work together as a community.
Thank you, Matt. We will now proceed to item number 3, which is the appointment of a permanent chair for the committee. I've been acting in a pro tem basis for the first few months, so now it's time to appoint a permanent chair. Is there anyone who wishes to nominate an individual?
I'll nominate Kristen.
Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Susan. Thirded by
I move nominations, cease.
What a surprise and an honor.
Okay, Kristen, in case you didn't recognize that, that was the sound of the 703 freight train barreling through Baden towards New Hamburg. So all those in favor of Kirsten? Okay, that's carried unanimously. So I will turn the meeting over to you.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
So now it is time to do the minutes of the previous meetings. The next item is to approve the minutes. Are there any comments or questions? May I have a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 meeting? Okay.
I'll second that.
Second it. Okay, that is carried. Number 5, disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Does anyone have any disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Anybody have any conflict? No? Okay, seeing none. 6, Heritage Wilmot business. This is an opportunity for staff to speak about this item.
Yeah, so just a brief update on 6.1. So we begin with Heritage Day 2025. So we can basically just debrief that event. So obviously it was needed to be, the new date was chosen on account of the weather. We had some exhibitors drop out, but we were able to keep the majority of the exhibitors. We noticed that turnout was down from what we have historically seen. Sherry might have the final number counts, but I think it was in the neighborhood of 50 to 60. That's not including exhibitors, so that would just be attendees. For reference, the year prior, we had about 180, give or take, attendees. So it is a bit of a drop-off, obviously, of attendees, but we think that is in part due to the date change, which ultimately we didn't have a control over due to weather. So we are, when we get closer to planning the next year's event, we will discuss alternatives for how we can increase engagement and improve the event. If committee members have any feedback as well, we're certainly open to hearing it.
Yes, I think the practice of having it on Family Day weekend is something that's, at least I haven't attended everyone, but I think we should seriously consider that as being the date we look at unless we know of a snowstorm that's coming.
So just to add to what Stuart stated, the reason the February date was chosen is way back when, was there was that movement afoot decades ago to have a national holiday known as Heritage Day in February. So that's sort of why it started. And there were used to be a lot of heritage events during that whole week, and I still think the Heritage Week is recognized as sort of a time for promoting heritage, and it's always been in February. So I think that's another good reason to stay with that date or that time frame. Of course, we now have Family Day weekend, which we had not before. So it was either the second or third Saturday that we would do it. So by the last year, we did it on Family Day weekend, and it was a good turnout. So I'm thinking we should probably stick with that. I know we probably may not have to make a decision tonight, but it's unfortunate that the weather didn't cooperate with us this year. And the date we did choose was a very busy day in Wilmot Township. There were a lot of things going on, and we were at the last weekend of the federal election. And so I don't think we should, I don't think our attendance problems were as a result of our event or the theme we chose. It was just all the other things that were going on, because April and May are as soon as the weather starts getting nice, people are out and about and doing lots of things.
One thing that I think that there's maybe some room to work into is to, I think that we have some other avenues to advertise the event that haven't been explored. I know that there's a poster and there's a bit of a social media campaign on this, but if we had a list of heritage organizations that we should just right out of the gate contact, and that includes the Ontario Architectural Conservancy, it includes all of the small organizations around within the community. I think that you have a built-in group of people who are already interested in that. And prior to the event being canceled, I was directly contacted by the Ontario Architectural Conservancy expressing interest in the group, or in the event. So it's there. We just need to, I think, have a list of these are the people we talk to and kind of nail that down early. Are there any other questions or anything else to say from this committee? Any other questions? No? Okay, moving on. Item 6.2, the New Hamburg Library at 145 Huron Street. Cameron will speak to this.
Yes, thank you very much. Sorry, I was just trying to get some pictures up on the screen there to aid with some visuals. So, yeah, this report is relating to a heritage permit for the 145 Huron Street, which is better known as the New Hamburg Library. So with properties that are within the Heritage Conservation District, if there's exterior modifications proposed, including restorations, it requires endorsement by this committee because it, again, is within the Heritage Conservation District. So just a little bit of background on the building. It's a Carnegie Library. It's one of the many that were constructed thanks to some grants from Andrew Carnegie. It was constructed in 1914. It's on the building classification A, which is buildings that are of major importance in creating the Heritage District and give the district its main character. So exterior alterations to this buildings of this magnitude are certainly important, and it is important to bring that to the committee to ensure that they do not have any issues with what is being proposed. So while the property is owned by the Township of Wilmot, it's operated by the Region of Waterloo, and so the Township is then responsible for maintenance of the property. There were some visual inspections conducted in the library in 2022, which is shown in the picture here. And there was a significant deterioration of the pedestal bases. And then at the time, there was some additional work that was done to assess the structural integrity, the current condition, and what maybe the potential causes were of the damage to that pedestal. So it was found it could be a variety of factors. One of them being salt applied to the concrete steps, eventually water wicking and causing damage to those pedestal bases. So one of the things that is being proposed is to simply repair these pedestal bases with like-for-like material. So that was outlined in greater detail in the staff report. In addition to that, there's been, as the library is now well over 100 years old, there's some paint that's begun to peel in various areas and has faded. So staff did pull, this is a picture of the library, maybe taken about probably a year ago. I think this was last spring. You can see the upper trim has faded to what is now basically a light blue color. So that was not the original paint color, but is likely fading of what was most likely a light brown or a brown color. So in looking at colors that would be most appropriate for this library, staff have looked in two areas. First, we've looked at historical photographs of the library. So you can see this picture here. It was likely that it originally was brown in color. And then also when we look at the design guidelines contained in the Heritage Conservation District study document, it speaks to generally brown tones being used in this instance. So staff are suggesting at this time that a brown color be used to replace that upper trim area. It'll also be used in various other areas of the property. In addition to emergency access ladder, which is on the rear of the property, which is in bright yellow. So that will also be repainted in a color that's complementary to the rest of the building, which is likely also going to be that same brown tone. So the heritage guidelines speak to trying to use original colors. So staff do feel that in looking at historical imagery as well as looking at the guidelines in the document, feel that this is an appropriate color for this building. And secondly, the improvements in the restorations to the pedestal bases are obviously necessary based on significant deterioration. So this is simply improvements to the existing building, and it's not really going to substantially change the facade. And so we'd be looking for the committee's endorsement tonight on those works.
Are there any members who have questions for the staff?
Through the chair, looking at the large, I don't know if it's precast or cast concrete emblem at the top above the steps, and considering what happened at the elementary school in Waterloo, I'm not suggesting that the design was similar, but I guess the question is it appropriate to at least have some visual inspection of that so that there's no deterioration over time on that as a potential hazard, or maybe it has occurred and I'm just not aware.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a focus of the inspection at that time. I know it was drawn to the pedestal bases and the peeling paint, but certainly I can point that out to our facilities staff just to draw attention that that's been raised as a potential concern. It is a fair point given it is over the pedestrian entrance to that building, so certainly something I can bring back to facilities staff.
Oh, sorry, did you hear? Oh, okay.
Well, if you look, it's not the same. What's there now is not what was on, is not what's on that older picture. Unfortunate, because I kind of like that, but I'm sure what is there now is probably more stable. It may not even be concrete anymore. That'd be interesting to find out. But it's all one piece, not separate pieces anymore. I have that old photo in my collection, so I've noticed before that there has a change. On a second point, when it comes to the color, I'm sure, I just want to point this out, I may be stating the obvious, but all the major paint companies have heritage lines of paint. So I'm hoping that that's what will be, whoever we select to do it, that they will be showing a sample of what they're doing and that they will be using a heritage brown and not some other brown. I think that's important to make sure that that message gets relayed, because depending on who does the work, they just may try to buy the cheapest paint that they can. And as I was told, I'm dating myself, there's the $10 gallon of paint, $20 gallon of paint, and a $30 gallon of paint. And it may seem really prudent, and I am very prudent, to go with the $10 gallon paint, but you put the same amount of work into putting the $30 paint on as you do the $10 paint, and it lasts 3 times as long, and you wind up saving money by buying the $30 paint. Of course, those numbers are all out to whack now, but
Am I correct in assuming this is the first time the base of the pedestals have been repaired, to the best of our knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty good, 100+ years. And do we know when it was previously painted?
We do not know when it was previously painted. We've been searching for photographs from the 80s, the 70s, just to see if we could find, and we had to basically colorize older photos. So I'm not familiar with when it was painted. Generally, the intent of any time there's work done to a heritage, a building within a district, it should be coming to this committee. So if it predated the existence of that document, which was the early 1990s, then it presumably might not have come for approval. So the short answer to that is we don't know the last time it was painted.
Just through you, Chair, it's suspiciously close to the color of the region of Waterloo and what they put on their vehicles, etc. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist here, but anyhow, that's what struck me.
There's one thing I'd like to just get a bit of clarification on. Al, you said that, I think you said that the columns are different.
no.
But the top, yeah, because the columns and what is resting on them appears to be the same, just painted. But you're talking about that fan.
Yeah, the fan at the
Okay.
top.
Is there any opportunity in this renovation to replicate that fan, or is that just completely out of the budget?
Right now, the scope is limited just to simply restoration works, but I can also take that feedback back to facility staff. I believe that would also be a budget ask if they were to go above and beyond this project, because the scope of that work would be much greater than the pedestal repairs and the simple painting. But
Okay, are there any questions from the committee? Oh, sorry, no, that's the previous line. Could I have a motion from this committee, from the committee on this item? And this is that we should recommend that the repairs go ahead.
the motion put forward to the committee this evening, I will read, is that the Heritage Wilmot and Castle Kilbride Advisory Committee endorse the proposed restoration and painting works as presented in report HCAC 04-25. So as presented, that the committee is endorsing the proposed restoration.
Okay. Moved by Scott, seconded by Al. No, pardon? Did I say Stuart? Scott? Stuart. I've been calling you Scott, haven't I?
I've been called worse.
I'm so sorry.
Today?
I am so sorry. I'm really doing great at this job.
You're doing just fine.
So, Stuart, Al. So, it carries, okay.
And then I think we have to call a vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shall we have a vote? All in favor? All against?
That carries.
Carried, okay. Okay, moving on to Castle Kilbride business. Sherry will speak to this.
Thank you very much. I just have a quick report here for the months of March and April. We did launch our exhibit called Handcrafted Histories in March, and we did our March break program called Spy It and Try It, which was really quite popular, and we've actually incorporated that into some of the programming that we've done for like the Girl Guides. We had a homeschooling group here last week, and we've got another 2 groups coming this week. We also had we had to reschedule our ghost walks from the same night that we were to host the Heritage Day. And so we hosted it in March, and we still had a good turnout for that. We'd never had held that event in March before, so that was quite nice. We also had one more in April. Some of the recent donations we have a wonderful donation of Baden Cheese Factory calendars that date anywhere from like the 1920s up until the 1960s. So those are quite wonderful to have. And Mr. Gingrich came back in on Friday with a lovely crazy quilt that's going to be added to our exhibit. We also had some Livingston Presbyterian archival material donated by Ren Eby as well, which is we're going through right now, and there's some treasures in there too. We were lucky to host a co-op student from Conestoga College. So she was here for 4 weeks, and she created an exhibit poster, some social media material, and she also created a logo for our 150th, which is coming up in 2027. Are there any questions about the report? No? Okay.
Are there any questions from the committee? Could I have a motion from the committee on this item? Matt, seconded by Susan. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Castle Kilbride activities up. Oh, wait, is that the one? Yes. Castle Kilbride activities update. We're on that?
We're at the digital strategy.
The digital one. Okay. Yes.
Sorry, I've got 2 items this time.
Whew, okay. Okay. The recommendation that Heritage Wilmot and Castle Kilbride Advisory Committee endorse the Castle Kilbride digital strategy.
Thank you very much. Yes, every year we apply for a grant called the Community Museum Operating Grant, and the ministry asks us each year to either update policies or submit plans. This year it is a digital strategy, which the museum has actually not had one before. So I approached this with the thoughts of looking at what we currently do and what we could do in the future. So from the ministry's perspective, they're really looking for museums to really reach out and share what they have in their collections. That could be through online searchable databases, or it could be through social media, through marketing, those sorts of things. So what I thought Castle Kilbride is really known for is for our murals. So we decided that we would really promote that digitally. So we actually just had our summer student from Young Canada Works start today, and this is going to be one of her major projects. So we need to update the photos that we have. We're going to create an educational program that can be accessed online. We're going to create videos and reels to share on social media. And then our big project is to hopefully have an interactive portion where people can make their own murals using components from inside that, painted components from inside the house. Yeah, so we've got the collection. So that's just a little bit of the history on how our collection started. When the museum opened in '94, they accepted pieces, but they weren't formally cataloged or numbered. So that happened from 2000 to 2015. We all did it by hand. Every single piece has their own catalog sheet that each piece is measured. We also drew pictures on there so we could identify the artifacts, and each piece has a number that is placed on it, which corresponds to the year it was donated, the donor, and the number of pieces that that donor has given to the museum. So it could be anywhere from one piece to, like, Harris Feach had donated close to 2,000 pieces, which I'm sure Al is quite familiar with. In 2015, we got our first database, which is called Past Perfect, and we've been using that for the past 10 years. We've got 90% of our collection into that database, and every piece that comes in, we add to that base. It's searchable, it's wonderful. We can add as many photos as we want. We can, if there's newspaper articles about it, we can attach all kinds of different media to it. So it's quite a handy program to have. There are elements to that you can put online, like the Ken Sealing Waterloo Region Museum. They use the same program and they put theirs online. So for us to do that, it would just be a matter of, do we have the funding to do that, and how much do we want to share online? Because, I mean, some of our pieces are quite valuable, and do we want it out there knowing, what pieces that we have, and, where they're displayed and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a few issues that we just need to look into before we were to launch into an online platform. Our website, the museum first website dates back to 2005. It was a standalone website. And then around 2015, the township took on a project to include all departments. So we were nestled under them, where we've been for the past 10 years. And by September, we're going to a brand new platform. So we've got to migrate all of our information into this new platform. So we'll be busy doing that over the next few months, and really taking a good look at how people interact with that website, what's working, and what can be improved. For social media, currently we have a Facebook account, and we also have a Instagram program as well, and our museum assistant Taylor is in charge of that, and she does an absolutely amazing job. If you don't follow us, you should check us out and give it a try. We also collaborate with the other museums too. We're part of Waterloo Wellington Network's galleries, and she's part of that committee as well, and they share all of our material as well. So that has really been something over the past year that has expanded our audience. And two, it's always nice to be able to put out information on what we have, special events that have taken place in the township over the years, and really to preserve those pieces for history. For exhibit and visitor experience, we do share inside the house. We have a couple of short introductory videos. We have one that's for kids and one that is for adults, and those are always very well received. It really sets the tone for when people tour. We also have a video for those that have accessibility issues and can't make it up to the Belvedere, so they can see what it's like. We've got a video that takes people up the stairs, looks out the windows so that they can see what's happening out there. And a lot of museums are going to more interactive and QR codes based inside the museum. QR codes are endless in the possibilities that you can gather more photos, more information on the pieces that you're looking at. So those are easy things that we can do inside the museum. Education and outreach is always important. We would like to expand the programs that we offer online. Previous to COVID, we always wanted people to come into the museum, and we never really explored just having our programs out there that teachers can access and use within their classrooms. So this is a project that we're working on as well to help with our digital strategies. Our IT group, so Raj, who is helping us here tonight, they help us with things like security and support and backup for our systems like the Past Perfect programs. The staff for the delivery of these services, so we have museum staff, we have our communications staff, IT staff, and then finance as well, just working all together to deliver those services. We've done an inventory of what we have and how old those pieces are, how new they are. And then we looked at the budget for, what is essentially things that we can do in-house for free, things that cost a little bit of money, and those things that cost a lot of money as well. And that transferred pretty much over to the time frame too, things that are ongoing, things that we can do in 1 to 3 years, things that are 3 to 5 years, or things that are 5 years plus. And then we just need to measure how those things are working for us. So we'd look at things like website analytics, how many people follow us on social media. We do ask our visitors and researchers to help us out with what kind of services we can offer or how they enjoyed their visit. Online ticket sales, that's another thing that when we get this new platform, we usually sell most of our tickets through independent platforms like Eventbrite and that sort of thing, but it would be really nice if we could do it in-house and save those fees. And then, we always gauge how much percentage of our artifacts and archival material are online. And then also 2 new partnerships that we can form. So that's the strategy in a nutshell. Do you have any questions or suggestions for us? Stuart?
Through the chair, well done, and I think you're on the right track. I did see a picture under education and outreach in front of Herman Kaufman's store.
Oh, yes, I love those kids that are in the car.
I don't know if I don't know if they were going to take him to the dam and dump him in or not. But.
Right. That is one of our favorite photos. It's maybe the first school bus. Could be, yes.
Yeah, they used to do graduation in Calvelman's Hall, which was the adjacent building right beside the store. My mother graduated from high school there at Calvelman's Hall.
Oh, that's wonderful. I knew about the movies that would be played in there, but that's new for the graduation.
Yes.
Oh,
So.
That is very cool.
Do you have the actual numbers for the KPIs today, or are these just sort of directional, what you have on the slide?
So these are directional, yes. Yeah. I forget how many I do know for our current followers that we have. I think it's 1.5.
Plus one. I just added tonight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yay, thank you. And so far we only have 339 on Instagram, but that one we've only been doing for less than a year now. So, yeah.
Okay, so the recommendation is that Heritage Wilmot and Castle Kilbride Advisory Committee endorse the Castle Kilbride digital strategy.
Do you have a mover and seconder?
Is there a move? Al moved, seconded by Stuart. All in favor? carried. Item 8, are there any announcements or new information or things to share? Yes, Cameron.
I'd just like to, a quick note, Development Services has grown by 1 staff member, so we have recently been joined by Rachel Green. She's our new senior policy planner, so the reason I'm announcing this is future meetings she may be tagging along and eventually playing a larger role on this committee. So whenever we meet next, she may be joining, and I'll give her a more formal introduction at that meeting, but I thought I would just announce that to the committee that it's exciting news, and hopefully she can join us at the next meeting.
I did forget to mention that coming up this Friday, we are having a brand new partnership with the Waterloo Oxford art students. They're doing a juried art show, so they're dropping their pieces off on Friday, and then they're going to help to mount the exhibit, and then it will be on display starting on May 23rd until June 20th.
That's great. If memory serves me correctly, we used to have that festival called the Living Well Festival, and they used to have it was just like Friday night, and they had their display there, and their parents came and stuff like that. But the general public didn't really know what was going on, or didn't have access to it. And now they will, because some of these kids are really talented.
I'm very excited from the pieces that were sent to us virtually. They look absolutely incredible. And I think some kids might be having some of them for sale, so that's also an option for them as well. And yeah, they'll be all throughout the building, so they'll be in the Belvedere Gallery, and they'll also be in the lower level as well, throughout the hallways.
One project that was done years ago, I guess a lot of this, the arts things that are dependent on the art teacher at the high school. And at one point in time, there was a gentleman who was interested in heritage, and he contacted me, this had to be 30 years ago, and wanted some pictures. And the kids created drawings, and they made a calendar. And one of the buildings we wound up in the calendar was a drawing of our house, and we bought the calendar, and it's hanging in our kitchen. And I think Greg and Marie Boyson have one too that was from the same calendar, but they put a calendar together.
That is a great idea. I know after we had met with the art teacher there, we had discussed the possibility of doing a partnership ongoing as part of the specialty high skills major at the high school. So it's going to be a culture one. I know that when my daughter was in high school last year, she had done one in environment, and it was a partnership with our local conservation authority. So they would go out and they would catch butterflies and that sort of thing. So with that partnership, having them come here to do various things like help with how to catalog exhibits or catalog artifacts, and how to put exhibits on this will help with that specialty major for them as well.
There's one thing I wanted to ask about from the Heritage Day. We had a table with a trifold out encouraging people who have heritage buildings to sign up, and I think that there was one person who signed up. Do you have any more information on that?
I have not got that contact yet from Sherry. However, that is something that we would look to reach out to with assistance from the Property Designation Subcommittee. So I will follow up with Sherry after the meeting to get that in contact, and we can follow up with them.
That was a great idea, so thank you very much for doing that. And we got one, right? All you need is one.
Well, that was, oh, yes, Stuart.
Just thinking off the top of my head, which I do from time to time, so through you, Chair, I was wondering, is there opportunity to develop linkages with the local universities, either, you know, at different levels, whether wasn't my area of specialty at the university, but I'm wondering if, you know, we've developed or are developing better contacts with the high school, and then we have 3 post-secondary institutions in our region, and so it almost begs the question, is there an opportunity there that we can leverage both what Wilmot has and their expertise to assist us?
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny you should mention that, because on Friday we did have a former Conestoga College professor that came here. He used to bring his students here every single year, and then when he retired, 2 of the teachers carried it on for a little while, but they haven't been here in over 5 years. So he got a hold of the current teacher who's just starting out this year and encouraged them to get their students to return for the history of furniture and the like the woodworking program as well. We have partnered with the University of Waterloo in the past to come in with their art students to study the paintings inside the house and come back with their theories on what some of the paintings represent. But we are always open to partnerships.
The University of Waterloo, I don't know if they still do it, they used to have a community history program at U of W. I went to Laurier, we didn't have anything like that. They weren't, at Laurier, they weren't interested in local history, because I found that out, because I wanted to do a bunch of stuff on local history. I said, oh, no, you can't do that. But the University of Waterloo had a community history program. And I don't know if they still do or not, because it was Ken McLaughlin and John English, both of them retired, who were involved with that program at that time. So that might be something worth looking into, because part of that was not only local history, but also museum and stuff like that. Museum study was part of that as well. Yes, and John English is a local, semi-local guy, because he came from Plattsville. English, they had a store in Plattsville, if I remember right. That's before my time.
Okay, are there any other announcements from this item? Anything else? Okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry that was such a bumpy flight, but I think we can land this plane now. The next meeting is June the 10th at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Stuart, and seconded by Matt, and that is adjourned.